What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content that I'm uploading onto my channel, then feel free to subscribe, and you can also offer suggestions on topics and characters and storylines and whatnot that we can have discussions on later on in this channel.
As promised, this week's video on how to kill superheroes is Juggernaut. Now, as we always do with our videos on how to kill superheroes, we're going to provide kind of a brief rundown on what the character is about and what they're capable of. But something that I want to point out here is that in this video, we are not going to be invoking 8th Day Juggernaut, because then it would be like, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, it would be stupid to try to figure out a way to kill that version of Juggernaut. And we're certainly not going to be invoking Juggernaut from the Tryon storyline from Uncanny X-Men number 369, at least I think it was, because then at that point, we would have to invoke like Mad Jim Jaspers or Matthew Malloy or Franklin Richards or like Galactus or something like that. And even then, there's no guarantee that version of Juggernaut could be killed. So we're going to be focusing on normal Juggernaut. That is to say, the one that we usually think of whenever we think of Juggernaut. I imagine a lot of people don't know about Tryon Juggernaut. He was 100 feet tall. He could rip dimensions in half. He could destroy the very fabric of reality. It was stupid how powerful that version of Juggernaut is. It was absolutely nuts. Anyway, the Juggernaut came into being when the stepbrother of Charles Xavier, Cain Marko, found the gem of the demonic entity Cyttorak in a hidden temple in Korea. Now, the gem transforms Cain into Cyttorak's avatar, the Juggernaut, an immortal embodiment of Cyttorak's power. Now, as the avatar of Cyttorak, Juggernaut possesses an impressive array of powers. First of all, the gem imbued in Cain superhuman strength, and in fact, the Juggernaut is so strong that his punches have registered as an 8 on the Richter scale, which is typically used to measure the strength of earthquakes. He's even been able to project his strength beyond his own reach in the form of thunderclaps that can produce shockwaves powerful enough to knock some of the strongest opponents in the Marvel Universe on their butts. To add to that, the Juggernaut's strength is not limited to physical objects, as he's been able to shatter magical constructs created by Doctor Strange seemingly without any difficulty. And he's even been able to stand toe-to-toe with some of the heaviest hitters in the Marvel Universe, including Thor and Hyperion, one of the many versions of Marvel's Superman. Now, in addition to super strength, Juggernaut's difficulty to kill is bolstered by his durability that's so extreme that he's effectively invulnerable to physical damage when his physical body is attacked. In addition to punches from Thor and Hyperion, Juggernaut has weathered blows from the Incredible Hulk in his Worldbreaker Hulk form, one of the strongest versions of the Hulk that's ever appeared in comics, and was not harmed when hit by Thor's God Blast. Furthermore, Juggernaut has demonstrated that he does not need air to survive, which was evidenced when he was buried under millions of tons of rock, clay, and stone without suffocating. Now, Juggernaut is not only inherently durable, but is able to generate an extremely powerful protective force field that can make him completely invulnerable to any attack on his physical body. Juggernaut's force field has survived blows from Thor's hammer Mjolnir and has been able to push back against Jean Grey's telekinesis, although it's worth noting that this was very early on in Jean Grey's training and Juggernaut's history. Now, in the unlikely event that Juggernaut does take damage, he's able to heal almost instantaneously, which is evidenced when the Juggernaut's eye is stabbed out by Shatterstar and grows back immediately. Now, what really sets the Juggernaut apart from most other powerhouses in Marvel Comics is that once he starts to move, he's impossible to stop, hence the reason why he's often referred to as the unstoppable Juggernaut. When moving at full speed, Juggernaut's able to run through planets and has knocked over the celestial being known as the Stranger. Now, there have been a couple instances when he was actually stopped, although it shouldn't have been possible. As we noted earlier, Juggernaut was not harmed by the God Blast of Thor. However, the blast was long enough to stop his momentum, which Juggernaut indicated had never been done before. Later, Juggernaut is stopped by the Hulk, who had been beefed up with tech from the Celestials after becoming Apocalypse's Horseman of War. It's worth noting, however, that without that technology, Hulk in his normal form and even his Worldbreaker Hulk form would not be able to stop the Juggernaut, something that we saw during World War Hulk when Banner simply diverts the Hulk movement as opposed to stopping him in his entirety. And so the question that we have to ask is this: how do you stop someone and then kill that person when their power is literally to be unstoppable? On top of that, if you do stop them, how do you kill someone who's impervious to physical damage? Well, for a long time, there was a relatively simple answer to this question, although achieving it would still have been extremely difficult. Throughout the vast majority of his history, Juggernaut has been vulnerable to telepathic or psychic attacks. So in theory, a powerful telepath could penetrate Cain Marko's mind and convince him to simply give up the Gem of Cyttorak, thus losing his powers and making him mortal again. Of course, this is easier said than done, as Juggernaut wears a metal helmet to shield him from such attacks. Now, since Juggernaut is a character with a long history, he has been written by several different writers, and how hard it is to remove this helmet has varied from writer to writer. That being said, it's been removed by several characters over the years, including extremely strong characters like Hulk, Thor, or Nimrod, to other seemingly weaker characters like Siren, Beast, and Angel. So despite how strong and invulnerable Juggernaut was, there's always been a clear weakness that could be exploited to defeat him. The problem is that all of that changed in 2015 in the Amazing X-Men story written by Chris Yost. In a story called The Once and Future Juggernaut, the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak appears in an ancient temple and calls out to various candidates, including Cain Marko, to become the avatar of Cyttorak, since Cain Marko lost the power of the Juggernaut during the events of Fear itself. Initially, Cain seeks out the gem in the hopes of destroying it, but after the gem claims a supervillain Living Monolith as the new avatar and he subsequently begins destroying the island, Colossus convinced Cyttorak that the Living Monolith will ultimately fail him and that in order for Cyttorak's avatar to truly be successful, he must be given enough power to kill Cyttorak himself. While Colossus was hoping that Cyttorak would choose him as the avatar and he would be able to kill Cyttorak, Cyttorak actually chooses to give the power of the Juggernaut to Cain Marko once again, this time making him almost as powerful as he was during the 8th Day storyline. Now, after receiving the power of the Juggernaut once again, Cain takes off his helmet and Rachel Gray attempts to read his mind, but is unable to do so. At this point, Cain explains that every weakness he'd ever previously had no longer affects him. Now, clearly this complicates matters quite a bit. If we can't exploit his weakness to telepathic attacks, Juggernaut becomes pretty much impossible to kill. What's even more puzzling is that due to the fact that Juggernaut has not appeared in comics that much, if at all, since this time in Marvel's timeline, we have no idea of gauging at what level his powers currently are. All we know is that after receiving the powers this time around, Juggernaut was able to withstand an all-out assault from Colossus without being hurt even a little bit. But if Cain is telling the truth, we also know that Juggernaut is more powerful than he's ever been, which given his past feats is quite problematic for us. So, as I see it, that leaves us with only one option to defeat and kill the Juggernaut. We have to convince the demon Cyttorak to withdraw his power from Cain Marko. Now, this has happened before in 2011 during the Marvel crossover event Fear itself. In this event, Cain Marko picks up a hammer that was sent to Earth by the evil brother of Odin, Kol Borsun, also known as the Serpent. Now, after picking up the hammer, Cain becomes an entity known as Kurth, the Breaker of Stone, and operates under Serpent's control to wreak devastation on the X-Men. Now, in order to prevent this from happening, Kitty Pryde, Colossus, and Magik travel to the home dimension of Cyttorak and tell him that Cain is now under the control of the Serpent. In response, Cyttorak takes the Juggernaut's powers from Cain Marko and transfers them to Colossus. There is a story where Colossus becomes Juggernaut, and I think I did it once, and I am going to remaster that, and I'm going to do it again. So, what we can learn from this is that Cyttorak will basically act out of self-preservation if he feels threatened. What we have to do then is somehow convince Cyttorak that it's in his best interest to withdraw his powers from Cain Marko once again. Now, how we do that, I have no idea. But we have to come up with something. Maybe find a replacement avatar that Cyttorak would find more worthy to step up and take Cain's place. This could work, although we would need someone that could resist the demon's influence after receiving the power of the Juggernaut. And so, short of depowering Cain, I don't see any way that he can be killed other than like a reality warper who just wills him out of existence, which is a trump card that Marvel always has available since there's always a ton of reality warpers just kind of floating around the landscape. But that's kind of how I see things going down. Now, a question for you guys in the Rob Corps. In our scenario where we have to grab somebody else to undertake the mantle of Juggernaut in place of Cain Marko, who do you think that person should be? If you could give one person in Marvel Comics the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak to become the new Juggernaut, who do you choose? And I'm actually really curious to see what direction you guys go in. I really want to know who you guys choose. Like, in my mind, truth be told, if I had to pick a person, I would pick Apocalypse. I would make Apocalypse Juggernaut. It would be insane. Like, it would be nuts. Could you imagine that? Like, they would like shape-shifting, all kinds of crazy stuff. It'd be awesome to see Apocalypse with the power of Juggernaut. Or maybe the Incredible Hulk. I feel like the Incredible Hulk would be too easy, but like a Hulk Juggernaut would be insane. But with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end, and yeah, leave a comment down below. Let me know who else you guys think we should kill. I'm thinking about doing Solomon Grundy next. That's kind of my That's kind of what I'm thinking about. The problem is Solomon Grundy's like already dead. So how do you kill a guy who's already dead? It creates kind of a weird situation, but it'd be fun to try to figure it out. My writer's gonna hate me. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. If you're new here to Comics Explained, be sure to hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.